Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly episodes where we talk about movies, TV, music, and video games, not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Yes, he's back. It isn't just me anymore. We're back recording with both of us. However, keep an eye on the schedule. It may change again. But don't worry, we'll still be here to bring you a new episode of the Media Boat Podcast, however we can. Whatever
Yes,
day that may be, whatever time it may
that's
be,
why
we'll
you
figure
should
it out.
like, subscribe, keep your feeds open so when we do drop something new, you get the immediate notification that, hey, come listen to us.
An open mind and an open feed. That's what they say.
Yes.
Something like that.
And so
All right, let's
now, yeah,
go
let's
into
start
it.
by opening our mouths and opening the start of the show with the music section. Start the music section with the Billboard. Start the Billboard with the Hot 100. And do you like Taylor Swift?
Well, too bad.
Too bad.
Because it's all you're
Because,
getting.
yep, she's at the top five, the top 10, and the top 15. 14?
14.
15.
14.
14. Yes, you gotta go way down to number 15 to find someone different. Uh, so let's get right into it with at number one, Fortnite by Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone. No surprise here, as this is the first song off the album. At two, Down Bad by Taylor Swift. At three, I Can Do It with a Broken Heart, which I'm glad it's way up here, even though it's down in the albums list. At four, The Tortured Poets Department. And rounding out your top five, So Long London, the number five spot there on the album. So if that's number five and Fortnite's number one, which one of the top five did not make it?
uh um my boy only breaks his favorite toys.
You're
That's the
correct.
one.
My boy indeed does not break his favorite toys. He breaks his favorite toys, but he does not break it into the top five.
He'll get there.
No. But as for your albums chart, your Billboard 200, at number one is, of course, The Tortured Poets Department by
Duh.
Taylor Swift. Um, Not the anthology. Um, I think it's kind of rolled into one.
I would imagine that they roll that into one.
Yep. At two, We Still Don't Trust You by Future and Metro Boomin. That's the bonus tracks extended record, double album now. At three, Cowboy Carter by Beyonce, who, by the way, did not decide to show up at all the Stagecoach. Thank you very much for disappointing all your non-country fans. But who was there is the number four artist, and he didn't have to do One Thing at a Time by Morgan Wallen. And running out your top five is Dark Matter by Pearl Jam. Yes, that Pearl Jam has a top five Billboard album.
It's true.
If you didn't like any of those albums, we have new releases, starting with Look to the East, Look to the West, To the Window, To the Wall, to the North, to the South, to the East, to the West, by Camera Obscura.
Mhm.
We also have Radical Optimism by Dua Lipa. Dua Lipa's
Yes.
album's coming out. Oh, yeah.
How excited are you?
I know what I'm listening to this week.
This
Although
is the opening record of Summer Jam season. This
it
is
is,
roll your windows down, drive down PCH type vibe.
this is the album I'm going to try and sneak in when I'm not listening to Torture Poets Department, which we'll talk a little bit more about that in a
We'll
bit.
address our evolving thoughts in a moment.
Yes. We also have the new releases Romanticism by Hana Vu, Pull the Rope by Ibibio Sound Machine, Here in the Pitch by Jessica Pratt, Lost Themes for Noir by John Carpenter, A Fearless Movement by Kamasi Washington, Funeral for Justice by Mudo Mokhtar. I hope I said that right.
Probably.
Uh, Veritas by POD. Yes, that POD.
Not a name you have heard in a while, I'm assuming.
It is not. We also have A Dream Is All We Know by the Lemon Twigs. And your big release of the week. I know you're like, wait, isn't Dua Lipa the big release?
Yeah,
We'll see, because Reasonable Woman by Sia is out this week. Yes, that's Sia.
this is really kind of a comeback record for Sia in a way. She had kind of fallen on some times, some made some poor choices, I think, with how she promoted a certain movie, where a lot of people kind of fell on the hater side. And so this is, I guess, her attempt to win people back. No, you're crazy. Dua Lipa is the release of the week. Like, absolutely. That is the thing that people have been waiting for. That is the biggest record of the week. That will be your number one.
See, when you started that, I thought you were talking about Dua Lipa and the Argyle movie, where she was in there in that movie promoting it.
No,
Nope.
unrelated. Think that even though that movie was not very well liked, I don't think that Dua Lipa's career took any hit from that.
It did not. The only thing that took a hit there was Matthew Vaughn and the animated cat.
Yeah, and that poor cat.
That poor animated cat. All right. Let's get into the music news. And there's so much music news got rolled up into the bits, because it's more than just Taylor we're talking about this week.
Yes.
But let's get that one. Let's just get right into it as you have it listed here, starting
Mhm.
with Billie Eilish revealing her next tour, the Hit Me Hard and Soft World Tour, which will be starting in September. This, of course, follows the
Yes.
release of her next album, Hit Me Hard and Soft.
Yes. The coolest note about this tour is she is following suit with what some smaller artists, yes, smaller is a weird term for the next name I'm going to bring up, such as Pearl Jam, and uh, working with Ticketmaster to basically eliminate scalping for higher prices. Basically, how it's going to work is that you can resell, but only for face value. They are not letting you, basically, they're turning off the option for resellers to increase the price of resold tickets. This is an effort to keep what happened to Eras Tour tickets and Olivia Rodrigo tickets happening to Billie Eilish tickets. So if you get a Billie Eilish ticket, you can't go. You can still resell, but you have to resell at face value. You cannot scalp for thousands of dollars.
Don't you eventually? I think if you do that, you eventually take a loss, because a part of that goes back to Ticketmaster when you do a resell.
Yeah.
So if you do try and
Yeah.
resell, you're actually reselling at a loss because
Yes, but
of the
it's
price
not.
difference.
But the thing is that this is not for people really thinking about the people reselling. It's the people who are buying those scalp tickets and making sure that they're not
Yes.
getting price gouged is the reason why this exists.
Right, but it's also helps for people, like when you buy a ticket,
Yeah.
you should go to the concert because you bought the ticket, not to resell it.
Yeah, but things come up. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that there's at least an ability to resell if you need to. But yeah, I think this is cool that an artist as big as Billy is trying this out, and it's just take notes, everybody else. Like, try to make this the norm until, of course, whatever legislation that may or may not happen on the federal level happens, which may
Well,
happen by the end of the year. We'll see.
I mean, may happen next year, may happen never. We'll see
There's
what
some,
happens
yeah,
in
there's some
November.
other fish being fried at the moment that they don't have really time to get to it.
Well, that's just a sleepy fish being fried.
Sizzle, sizzle.
Yes, little poke, little jabs. A little bit of us moving into the next little bit of music bits. Speaking of Billie Eilish and her new album, uh this past weekend the NFL was in Detroit doing the NFL draft, and Eminem showed up, because when you think of Detroit, you obviously think of the Ford Motor Company,
I was just gonna say the Ford Motor Company stole it from me, but yeah, keep
and
going.
then you think of Eminem.
Yeah, maybe somewhere in there. And the movie 8 Mile,
Yes. Well,
Mackay Pfeiffer.
uh sure.
There's this is no movie. It's no Mackay Pfeiffer, but in this case, there
No,
was.
but it is an Anthony Mackie
Yes. Anyway,
before he became Captain America.
right? That's true.
Which is, if you didn't know that before, go rewatch it. It's hilarious looking at it now. But yeah, Eminem,
Anyway,
in connection with the NFL, announced a new album, which will be releasing this summer, titled the death of Slim Shady. Coup de grace, in
It's
parentheses.
also a sponsorship deal with a crypto company, apparently, also on top of all of this.
Yep.
So yeah, this is a lot, Eminem. Like maybe one thing at a time, but like,
No, that's Morgan Wallen's territory.
eh.
You,
Anyway, walked right into that one.
you did walk
Uh,
right into that one.
I don't know. Do we want or need another Eminem record, especially one where it looks like he's going to kill off his persona that he's had for 25 years?
I mean, Taylor Swift killed the old Taylor because she's dead right now.
Well,
And that was
that
back
was
in Reputation.
6 years ago. So
Yeah. Well, you can't call it by years. You have to call it by albums. That was 6 albums ago. Taylor
something
Swift
like that.
doesn't work in years. She only exists
Works in
in
eras.
albums.
Everybody knows this.
Eras.
Eras.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't care about a new Eminem record. I feel like he has not been relevant for a while. I doubt that this will change things.
I doubt so. Even the last record, the album that he put out, it was the one song about the gun violence, and then nothing else I heard of
Yeah.
on that record ever came out.
Maybe this is just his move to get involved in the middle of that rap beef between Kendrick and Drake.
No, but should we talk about the rap beef between
No, we're not.
Kendrick?
I listened to the
Because
new Kendrick one today and I was
yeah,
like,
he
yeah,
dropped a new one.
he said a lot of stuff about Drake. That's pretty much the takeaway. It's like, oh, cool. I'm glad he said all this stuff about Drake. Is it a very good song? I don't know. That I'm not sure about. But yeah, there you go. That's the update.
I don't know. It falls in the line of, as you mentioned and talked about, when rappers do a callback or a beef song,
Diss track.
a diss track, is it about the dissing or is it about an actual music?
It's mostly the dissing, this one
Mostly
at
the
least.
dissing. Yep.
Oh well.
All right. Someone not involved in any of that beef because he's a vegetarian and he's not scared of them. The Weeknd has decided to pledge $2 million of said beef to provide food for humanitarian support in Gaza.
First off, I don't know if The Weeknd is a vegetarian. We should not be on the record saying that on a podcast. Don't
Okay.
sue us for libel, Abel. However, this is good news.
Ooh,
I think this is
that's a good rap album. Libel Abel.
Abel libel.
Yes.
Anyway, in all seriousness, yes, this is cool. This is an artist using their money for good. This is an artist standing by what they're like, what they believe in. This is awesome. I don't know if this I like this completely wipes off how I felt about the Idol. However, it is cool to see the Weeknd doing something this beneficial for people who really need it. So congratulations for doing one cool thing, Abel, in the last few years. Congratulations. Good job. Ladies and gentlemen, the Weeknd.
All it takes is one step in the right direction.
Yeah, I guess
Now
so.
1,000 more to go on that journey.
Everybody else. Hey, Taylor. Hey, Taylor, take notes. You have more than enough money. Maybe think about this. There you go. Anyway.
Well, she's on tour right now.
Yeah,
But
again.
while she's on tour, she's probably writing her next album as she did with the last tour, the one she's still doing on, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have some numbers from the Tortured Poets department.
Yeah, too
And
many numbers.
yeah, according to Spotify, it is the first album to get 1 billion streams in a single week.
Yes.
So close
So
to the Dave
yes,
mark, actually.
almost. So the easy assumption to make here is like, well, it's a double album, of course. But if you actually look at the breakdown, it was already twice as many streams as Midnight's plus the 3 a.m. tracks was after its second day of availability. So the math does not necessarily just double, it almost quadruples. And if you look at like, it's so way ahead of everything else. I saw a variety story that I didn't include that was like, it is the best selling album already in the last 9 years. 9 years.
Mhm.
So that beats the last Adele record, which is crazy because Adele perpetually puts out records that beat like those records every time. And
I feel
so
like it's the new record ever since they made the switch to streaming numbers.
yeah, yeah. It typically, I mean, so the fact that it's like leaps and bounds above everything else is like just really showing just the power of her fan base right now. It's like you can put literally anything out, which we'll get to, and somehow they will just bulldoze through the walls and break these records every time.
So, should we then talk about the album now that's breaking all these records?
Yeah, so I want to touch base on how we're feeling about Tortured Poets about a weekend. So I listened to the video that you recorded
Mhm.
that went up last week to accompany the proper podcast. And I thought it was very interesting how you approached it. How you approached it as kind of like, well, maybe it's not for me, is kind of the gist I got, where it's like, well, this
Yeah.
is speaking to a very specific experience. This is speaking to a kind of relationship. It was interesting how broad you had read these songs and how you were willing to interpret them as like universal feelings, because I think that subject is something that I didn't actually touch on in my thoughts post on the website that I've been thinking about this week a lot in terms of Tortured Poets. I feel like as her career has gone on, I feel like her writing has become more pointed and more subjective.
Self-referential.
Yeah, in a way that maybe it wasn't before. Of course, people can easily say, yes, but
Mhm.
wasn't she talking about Drew, her high school boyfriend, in Teardrops on My Guitar? Yes. Hasn't she always used proper nouns like that?
Mhm.
Yes. But let me say Exhibit A, Enchanted. There is a backstory to Enchanted. We know what Enchanted is about, or at least I do. But it's not like everybody does. In fact, for example, Christy did not necessarily know, and she thought it was the most hilarious thing when I told her about who that was song that was about that who that song was about.
You mean who that song
Yeah.
was about?
Ooh. Anyway, but it works, I think, super well because of how universal that theme is, how you can put yourself into that song, and it can apply to your experience about someone you met briefly and wondered about and was enchanted by. You can't do that a lot of modern Taylor song. So I thought it was interesting that you said that you were at least attempting to, or at least you were inventing a person who could possibly see themselves in the shoes of Taylor's narrator in these songs, which is
Mhm.
again fascinating because I could not. So since you mentioned briefly that since that recording, you have evolved in your thinking, or like you have listened to it some more and maybe altered some of your thoughts. How are you feeling now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's whether that my thoughts have evolved on it or that I've just stopped thinking about what the lyrics mean and just
Okay.
listen to the song itself as it's a pop album. It's very
Yeah.
poppy, it's very catchy. Those first five songs up to okay, how you pronounce Iomel? Lomel?
It's LOML because it's an
That is
acronym
an L,
for
right?
Love of My Life.
Okay. So it is Lommel.
Lommel.
Okay, everything up to Lommel, I've it's grown on me and I like it. And I think it's a great companion piece from where she was with Midnights. It's like, okay, I see a lot of the connections here now. Like I see it, I hear it, and it's like, okay, it's morphed on me from being more personal to just being is just another way of Taylor Swift writing her lyrics, writing songs, with Aaron Dessner on there, just splattered everywhere. That is just another step on the long Eras tour that she already went on.
Okay.
So I think I've grown on it, and that like I
Interesting.
can like those first five songs, minus My Boy who only breaks his toys. Still don't like that song. I mean, I
Yeah,
like it. I
it's
like the
not one of my
chorus. I don't
favorites.
like all the verses around it, but
Yeah.
that chorus is catchy.
That is, I think, a problem that a lot of the songs here have, which is I think that there are some really good hooks on a lot of the songs. But Daddy I Love Him comes to mind, where great soaring chorus, but then the verses kind of get lost and kind of are a little wordy. There's a lot of that. It's funny that you said that this has grown on you because in my experience, it has done the opposite of that.
Hmm.
I actually liked a lot of what I heard the first time I listened to it, and that initial listen. And the more I listen to it, the more I start, I don't know, feeling a quicksand feeling almost when I'm listening to her. It's like, getting pulled down and bogged down in the bitterness of it and not necessarily enjoying the songs as songs, which I kind of wrote a little bit about how that was starting to happen when I wrote my piece about it, but it's only gotten worse. It's only like reminded me over and over again. It's like, oh, I kind of don't like this part, or this part is really wordy in a way I don't love. And there are moments I think that still really, really work. I really like I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. I
Yes.
think it is interesting in kind of a Bejeweled kind of way that it stands so out from the rest of the album in the way that Bejeweled did from Midnight's because of how bright and effervescent it is. But then you actually listen to what she's saying and you're like, oh no, Taylor. Like, okay, is this all right? Are you like good?
I
Like,
mean, she's hitting her mark.
yes, but there's so much on this record, and I think this is to its detriment. There's so much on this record that distracts you from the song. There's so many lines where you're like, wait, Taylor, do you actually think that? Do you actually want to put this on the record? Like, do you actually want to say this to your fans? There's so many little moments like that where I'm like, I don't know if this is a good move, but like I said earlier, it doesn't matter to a certain extent. There is just this propulsion in her career. There's just this momentum right now that she can make anything she wants. And people besides the critics won't bat an eye. I think the critics are largely right about how divisive this record has been received. Night one, I was a little surprised to see the negative reviews come out, but as I've kind of stayed with it, I've realized actually they might have a point. The point that I finally realized this myself, how I ultimately feel about this record, was I was trying to listen to, I think maybe last Sunday. I was trying to listen to it again. No, not Sunday. I must have been Tuesday or something. Last Tuesday or whatever. So a few days after release, I was trying to do another round where I was going to listen to the whole thing, anthology tracks included. Which, by the way, let's get to those too. I want to get your take on that.
Really? Do we have to?
Yeah, exactly my point. But yeah, I was trying to get through it. I got like halfway through. I got up to, I think it was Love of My Life, honestly. I think it was that song. I got up there and I was like, actually, is this what I want to do right now? And I switched to Speak Now Taylor's version. And I think that says a lot about about this record and about where I feel about where it should be in the legacy of Taylor's like career. I don't hate it. I think that there's things to like about it, which brings us to the anthology tracks. I think there are some tracks that I'm okay with. I really like So High School because it sounds like 90s alt, like weird ass guitar rock. Like, I don't get where it came from. I wish more stuff on the record sounded like it. It's not like anything else, but it's so bogged down. So the whole anthology side is like so bogged down with samey stuff. I can't tell you anything that keeps Cassandra different from Peter, different from Sophia, Sam, Marcus, or whatever that one is called. They all just milled into one gel to me.
Oh,
There's so
come
much
on.
happening there.
Peter's the one about Peter Pan.
Yes, I got it. I get it. There's just so much that just melds together. Also, they play, I guess because, radio is so all over the place these days. Kiss FM played Thank You Amy on the radio on the way home yesterday. And I was like, what, why?
Hmm.
Such a deep cut. And it's not a good song. I don't really like it. It's almost like she put, don't come at me, Taylor fans. Swifties, please. I swear I've given you enough bona fides to prove that I'm a fan on this podcast. You can read
We have an
my
entire
write-up.
tournament. You can listen to
I
us.
have done so much work to prove that I know what I'm talking about. The anthology tracks are bad. It's like a bad Evermore. I just don't understand what she was doing. It all just sounds like a muddy mixture of the same sounds over and over and over again, with some exceptions. But it's just like, what? Why? Why are we doing this? Why did we have to do this?
For me, the anthology side of it sounded a lot to me like the Taylor's versions from the Vault tracks,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a reason they were left off. There's a
Yes.
reason that they probably shouldn't be
Yeah.
released.
But there's been some vault tracks that have been great, is the thing that I'm struggling with. Where it like for like I could name several vault tracks that are actually really, really good. I Can See You, Is It Over Now, When Emma Falls in Love, like the message a message in a bottle. Like there's so many examples in the Taylor's versions you can look back of like, no, there were some really, really good songs. There's one that I could do without. Like, I don't know. Timeless. Yeah. Bleh. But there's this is bogged down with so many ones that I'm like, these none of these should have been released. Well, not none of them, but you know what I mean. It's just like so
Yeah.
many of them are just like so forgettable. And Taylor does not usually write forgettable songs. And so I'm worried that this is some sort of flashpoint that she's gotten so productive, even though she cries a lot, apparently. She's made so much music right now that maybe she's finally getting to the point where like it's so scattershot that maybe there's certain songs that she shouldn't release. Maybe there's some that should just be in her notebook because all of these at once was way too much.
This is the antithesis and the peak of streaming, where you know how to put it on a record, you have to put it in physical form. It's a digital release, so
Yeah.
anyone who wants to listen to it can listen to it. So you're no
Yeah.
longer limited to only 13 tracks, only so many songs that you can put on a CD, only 25 megabits or whatever. You
Yeah.
can put all of it out, and I think that's where we're at. And you can come at me, Swifties. I don't care. Come at me, fight me. That this stems the to the Taylor Swift fans vehemently pleading for Taylor to release the 10 million version of All Too Well, because it's the unedited version, because it's the long version, because it's the Taylor is gonna ramble version, that's what the fans want. So that's what Taylor's gonna give them, is the long, unedited, rambling version. And that's what you guys are getting. So I saw a lot of this when it was released, that this is a record for the fans. And if the fans are gonna like this, the fans are gonna eat it up and put it on the
Yep.
top 14 Billboard albums, what's gonna stop her from
Yeah.
trying to edit herself? Because it's not
And,
this.
and
It's
that's
not the
the thing.
numbers.
Yeah, the question is does she need an editor? Should she have like someone that stands in and says like, hey, maybe don't do all of this, or maybe don't write about this specific thing, or maybe this or this. And I don't know if that's true. Like, I think that if anything, Taylor has proven in the past that she doesn't need that. Speak Now was a record that was completely self-written by her, and I think that it's my favorite record of hers. So I don't necessarily think that it's an either or. I just think that this was just this particular record and this particular vibe and the mood that she was in when she wrote these songs, just to me, did not lead to my favorite Taylor Swift songs. I could say similar things about Reputation. To me, that the two records really line up for me. They're very similar in where I rank them in my head. They're probably right next to each other in a ranking, for instance, if I was to do one again. Um, and yeah, I think it's because in both cases, I would probably take certain songs out, leave certain songs in, and build my own better version of the record. I think and I think that a lot of people are going to feel like that, but a lot of people won't, and Taylor will continue, being Taylor. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think give her another chance. This makes me incredibly curious about what the vault tracks for Reputation Taylor's version are going to sound like, because we have no idea what anything else from that era sounded like. And I think that this is a perfect time for her to just nicely pivot by the end of the year into marketing just Reputation Taylor's version, and then we'll all forget this ever happened.
Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people will forget that the anthology ever happened when we get to the end of
Yeah.
the year lists.
Also, real quick. Oh yeah, no, I can guarantee this will not be on my top five. I'm gonna tell you right now. This is
Shock.
going to be the first Taylor record that will not be appearing on my top five at the end of the year. I guarantee this. Because if I'm already kind of over it, then there's no way it's going to last until December. One thing I want to touch on though, how did you not know this was about Maddie Healy?
I figured it was, but also I don't follow her relationship
I know you
status.
don't, but we talked about that on this show.
Yes,
It's so specific.
I know it's specific to them. I have not had a heartbreak like that.
No, I don't. I haven't either, but I remember this stuff happening.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago at this point.
Not even, I don't think. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway,
Anyways,
enough of that. But yeah,
yeah.
that's it
Anyways,
for that.
yeah. I do want to talk about one other thing. Stagecoach happened this
Hey,
past weekend. The
yes.
aforementioned Morgan Wallen did show up. He did perform a new song with Post Malone. I am told that no chairs were thrown during the performance.
Did you enjoy this
But
via couch stage couch?
I was gonna say, but I did not see it, and I could
Ah,
not see it because the Morgan Wallen performance was not streamed by Amazon at all. It was
ah,
blacked out. So that was only for people who were there,
no stage
which
couch.
wasn't me. I did watch a lot of the other performances. And the one that got a lot of people talking this past weekend was Eric Church, as
Yes,
he
how did you feel
literally
about
took
this?
people to church.
Yeah, how did you feel about that? Because I saw some people saying that there was a mixed reaction.
Oh, there's definitely a mixed reaction, especially people who were looking forward to hearing Eric Church songs and
Mm,
him only loosely intertwining his songs in his set and then just playing Springsteen at the end, although a very shortened version of
yeah.
Springsteen at the end. But everything else was I enjoyed it as a performance. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it if I was actually there, but I liked what he was doing because it was a back to roots, kind of a stark contrast to the bro country of the 2010s. Yes,
Yeah.
even though we're in 2024 now, but it's a stark retribution to even the other performance on there of Morgan Wallen, of Jelly Roll, that it's not that country music at its core stems
Mhm,
from gospel music, stems from that old, like hint, those old hints of storytelling, that it's not what it is currently. And that's what he was doing, is getting it back to the roots, which you saw in his performance was him starting with just the guitar, starting with Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah. And
mhm,
each time he went into a different track, he built upon it. He built upon his set so that way we got to the end where he did sing Springsteen. You could see that journey, that through line
mm.
that he built
See, that
as
sounds really
he,
cool.
yeah, that's a cool
Yeah.
moment because he slowly brought on more people, more guitars, more drums, more hymns, more of just the gospel choir of it, that it was a slow built ramped up performance and a truly memorable performance. And this is
Mm.
where I was having a conversation with my doctor and everyone else I went to stage couch with, that as an artist going performing at a festival, are you obligated to play the hits, or is this become a once in a lifetime opportunity for you to branch out, to do something different,
Mm.
to make not just a statement on your art and your craft, but to make a statement in defining music as your not just your genre, but leaving a lasting impression on the fans. Because I'll tell you, if you loved it or you hated it, you were
Mm.
definitely leaving talking about it.
Yeah, and I think that's fascinating. That's a fascinating use of a festival performance. However, I could also understand that argument from the other side as well. I
Oh
can
yeah,
get in theory, I am not this person, but I know this person exists that is like, I just came here for a good time, man. Like, who's just there to hear the hits, as you are wont to say, play the
play the
hits.
hits.
That guy is probably the one who's pissed off right now because he probably was like, why didn't he play this song or this song, this song? I wanted him to be out there like in rock star mode, like we used to talk about Eric Church, how he used to put a big like rock show on
Mhm.
every time he was ever on a stage. And he could still do that again. This is not saying that necessarily that part of his career is over. It's just saying that for this instance, he felt like he had a point to prove. And I think that that's what ultimately sounds like he was trying to do. It sounds like that he wanted to talk to something that he feel like is getting lost in the country music scene and bring it back in his own way, in his own interpretation. And yeah, that is a good question, I think. And I don't necessarily know if I have an answer for it. Are you obligated to be that entertainer? I
Well,
don't know.
here's the thing though, is that this performance is not just, hey, I'm going to wake up this morning and say, I want this is the set list I'm going to provide.
Mhm.
No, there's set design, there's rehearsal,
Right.
there's practicing,
Oh, it was the plan.
there's
Yeah.
contract. This was the plan the entire time.
Right.
It's just that no one outside of that circle and Golden
Knew
Voice, who
about
puts it on, knew that Eric Church was going to have this kind of performance.
right.
It's also interesting as to what is country music in a whole, because the previous performance, Jelly Roll, was rapping during his performance. He
Sure.
brought out T-Pain, and they sang could have or should have been a cowboy. Like,
Yeah.
yes, that's a unique experience that you're only going to see once there, but then that's also not country. That's R&B. That's rap. That's rock and roll that Jelly Roll is putting on. And is that country? Then there's the Diplo's honky tonk, which is just a DJ set. So you could go, like, ideally, people who are like all negative on this go from pre-gaming at their house, at their condo, at wherever, get on the bus, go to Diplo's Diplo's Roundhouse, jam out, go to Jelly Roll, rock out, and then you're all prepped and pumped and hyped and ready for Eric Church to come out and just blast Talladega in your face, and you get hit with this organ, this 5-minute organ intro. And you're like, oh, he's starting with organs. It's going to be good. He's going to come in. It's just going to ramp up. And then it never does.
Mhm.
And you feel disappointed spending 550 some odd dollars for the ticket,
Yeah.
not including everything else that goes into paying for the weekend.
And yeah, and again, like I understand conceptually why someone would expect to be catered to in that way. But yeah, I also understand from an artist perspective why you would want to subvert that. Like
Hmm.
the want to be like, well, what if I didn't do that? What if I use this time to do something I feel like I need to do artistically? And yeah, I don't ultimately think that it's the artist's responsibility here because the artist is an artist. The artist is the creative. They're the ones who are wrote the music and want to use the music how they want. Like they did it for their purpose, and it's cool that they can. It's cool that we give them the opportunity to show and share this art with other people. I think what's interesting about this especially is what it says about this year, especially what this year has been saying about country music as a whole. It's all a big conversation about what is it now? What has it been in the past? And yes, Beyonce spoke to this. You have this Eric Church performance speaking to it. You even have, like you mentioned, Jelly Roll speaking to this. It's all a giant conversation about like, well, what is this genre? What are the rules per se? Are there rules? And are these rules changing as we speak? Is this the year? Is this like, again, I'm going to use that term again, flashpoint? Is this some sort of weird flashpoint where like 2024, we're going to look back and like, remember how weird like country music all of a sudden was and how all this stuff just imploded on itself? And then from here on out, it's different. It could happen.
There are no rules, especially when you have Post Malone
Yeah.
coming out and doing a set. You have T-Pain walking out doing a set. And then you have Lana Del Rey
Yeah.
coming out as a special guest for not
Sure.
even like someone on the main stage.
Yeah. Sure. Why not? That's the vibe, is why not? And I get it. And I think that the people who are being gatekeepy about this should maybe think about why that is and what they're trying to prohibit, what they're trying to keep from happening. And then maybe they'll have that introspective moment and think about these things in more depth. And maybe this opens their mind to other kinds of music, other kinds of ideas, and who knows what this leads to. I think it's cool, but yes, I understand why people would be mad,
Yep.
but it's a complicated issue.
But hey, Eric Church wasn't the only performer there. There's
No.
plenty of other performances that you could walk around and enjoy,
Exactly.
including Nickelback. But let's not talk about them and
You
let's
said
move into
enjoy.
video games, where we have start with new releases,
Yeah.
including Cyber Citizen Shockman 3, The Princess from Another World, for everything. You got it, you can play it. We also have Indica for the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X.
My favorite strain of weed. I'm kidding. I don't smoke, but
MotoGP 24, this year's edition, for everything. You got it, you can play it. Also out for everything, Braid Anniversary Edition. Oh, except
yes,
for the
that
Switch.
braid. Remember
Sorry.
that braid?
Yeah, that Braid. It's out again, Anniversary
Someone
Edition.
someone tell Soldier Boy.
Except you can't play it on the Switch.
Well, I don't know if
We
Soldier
also
Boy has a Switch.
No, he has his own gaming console, remember?
Yes, it's true.
We also have Front Mission 2, remake for everything but the Switch. We also have Sea of Thieves for the
Yes.
PS5. That Xbox crossover is finally happening.
Yep.
I believe you can also cross-play with the PS5 if you're already have the account on Xbox.
It's true. You can.
And don't worry, Switch owners, there is one game coming out that you can dive into and spend a limitless amount of time playing. That is Endless Ocean Luminous for the Switch. I might be picking up this game because it looks
Ooh.
interesting to me, and it's about diving and deep sea water adventures.
Discovering fish and other aquatic life.
Yeah, like sounds like a relaxing game.
It does.
Or it might just trigger my brain to, I gotta catch all fish, gotta get all the fish. Where's all
I
the fish?
mean,
Where's the fish?
it will do that.
Yes.
Just to be clear, you will have this problem.
Yes, but I also want like the discovery of, ooh, fish over here, fishes in the ocean, fishes in the sea, coming up to me like 1, 2, 3.
Oh, Jelly Roll is here. I didn't know. We were having a special rap set by Jelly Roll right now.
No, that's brought to you by Rainbow Fish.
Rainbow Fish. I don't know what that is.
The children's book Rainbow Fish.
I don't have a child. I'm sorry. I don't relate.
Well, I don't relate to this next story, as this is an Xbox story.
Okay.
Okay, let's get into it. Microsoft has announced an Xbox Games Showcase and a, quote, redacted direct for June. The Xbox Games Showcase, the first to include games across Activision Blizzard, Bethesda, and Xbox Game Studios, will be live streamed in June on the 9th, starting at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. For the second year in a row, the showcase will take place in Los Angeles during the same week as E3.
No.
I mean, Summer Game Fest.
Yes. No E3 Summer Games Fest is still happening though, and yes, this will be about the same time that they had it last year, in about the same presentation that they had last year, except this time with Activision Blizzard, as this is, like it says, the first time that they are part of this showcase. Quick note about that. Blizzard also confirmed that BlizzCon is canceled for 2024, so that will not be happening, which means that if they're going to make any Blizzard announcements, here's probably where they will happen. So you'll learn more about Diablo expansions, you'll see stuff about Overwatch here, and I'm sure Microsoft is thrilled to have more to keep put in their event, so that way it doesn't look as bare bones as it has in the last few years.
I mean, they already had Sea of Thieves and their bones. Will this now extend how long the showcase is then? If they're
It's
adding all three
possible.
of these?
Well, as it mentions, there's kind of an extension already, as the proper game showcase will go into what they've called their Redacted Direct. Redacted, of course, is in the place of a game name. All signs point to Call of Duty here. This is probably your Call of Duty game, which the use of the term redacted has a lot of people thinking Black Ops. Could be. Very possible. Then we'll get a Black Ops 5. They're 5, right? 6, 5?
It'd be five, unless they
Okay.
do a A
reboot of
rework
sorts.
reboot of
Yeah.
Black Ops,
Yeah, but the
Black
fact
Ops
that they'll
One,
have an
Black Ops
entire,
Alpha.
I mean, the last time they
Ooh,
did an entire
that would
direct
be good.
for,
Why don't they? Why haven't they gone into the Greek alphabet? Black Ops Alpha sounds like a really good badass name for a game.
they could do that.
Yeah, but then it's called second one Black Ops Beta. And it doesn't sound as
Beta.
cool.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Um, but anyway,
yeah, just jump
so
around. Epsilon, Omega, Mu. Give me a Mu game.
anyways. Anyways, so yeah, this is probably going to be Call of Duty. It's interesting that this is the first time there's doing this since they did a direct for Starfield last time. So this is kind of similar to the way that they treated Starfield. So interesting. We'll see what it is.
Yep, though we will have to wait to June 9th, which does sound like far away, but by the
A
time I listen
month.
to this, we're already in May. I
Yeah,
say
a month
April.
and a
We're
week.
ending April. We're already in May. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be about a month and a week until Summer Games Fest time. So I imagine we will see other publishers announce when their showcases will be soon.
Yep.
Microsoft is just the first of that salvo. So just wait.
Yeah, they're usually the first. And then Nintendo announced their Treehouse
Nintendo
at
will
some
announce
point.
something. Sony will announce their thing. I imagine we'll hear from EA. I imagine we'll hear from Ubisoft, and that's it because the
Because
rest of them
everyone
have
else
been
got
snapped up.
bought up. What
So
about Take Two?
maybe, although they don't usually do anything around that time, they drop their trailers whenever they want.
Hmm.
Um, I imagine if we're going to hear anything from their studios, it might be whatever Gearbox is doing since they own them now.
All right. Consolidation. Love to
Indeed.
hate to see it. All right. I've been playing more Final Fantasy. I decided to get back into the story mode, and continue the chapters because I figure I've only
Wait,
like 3 chapters.
which Final Fantasy? You need to be specific now because I know you jumped into the 16 DLC
Oh,
after
I
Rebirth.
finished that DLC.
Okay.
It
So
was a
back to
good
Rebirth.
palate cleanser. It's back to Rebirth, and oh my God, just going back to, even though they were the two most recent releases for Final Fantasy, just the quality of life in Rebirth, I just love so much.
Yeah.
Just I was like, because like I remember like talking highly about 16. I was like, yeah, it's got everything that I wanted it, and then just having to go back and back is like, wow, there's so much like just little minutia changes that make it just so much enjoyable for Rebirth to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I did
Cool.
finish it. I completed everything. I got the second platinum, well, third platinum, however you want to phrase it, 100% all the extra DLC stuff.
Wow.
So
Dedication.
yes, I think well worth it. I had a fun time jumping back into it, wrecking everybody, especially getting the new upgraded abilities because there's two in there. There's a Ultima one, and then there's the Water Leviathan one. So it was nice to have both of those added to my arsenal.
Cool.
Yep.
All right.
But
Awesome.
you just back into Fortnite.
Yeah, but not for weird reasons. Just because they decided to do what I've been waiting for them to do ever since they announced Fortnite Festival, which is I can finally stop using the controller to play a rhythm game because that's never a good solution. Yes, if you have Rock Band for guitars, either on PlayStation 3 or 4, or if you have Xbox One or Series X/S, or I guess sorry, that would be PS4, I guess, or 5. My bad. I went back too
Yes.
far. Rock Band 4 guitars and Fortnite, you can play Fortnite Festival with said guitars. If you're a PC player, look up their website because they do have a graph to tell which ones are compatible with the PC version. Not all of them are. Or you were lucky enough to get one of those new PDP guitars that they released in very, very small quantities. Any way you can, if you have access to any of those guitars, you can now play Fortnite Festival with a guitar, specifically guitar and bass, and a special mode called Pro Guitar, Pro Bass. Yes, my Rock Band 3 heads are looking up all of a sudden. They're like, what, pro? It's not pro like that. It just means that it's to differentiate it from the controller based guitar and bass options. Anyway, they separate it because they added hammer-ons and pull-offs. So it's a more
Yeah.
accurate Rock Band guitar experience for people who want that. And I am a people who wants that. So I've jumped right into it. I've had a lot of fun with it. It plays just like you would want a Rock Band game to play, except you see Fortnite things happening. So you'll be playing like Misery Business by Paramore on bass, and the Predator will be singing it. You know, Peter Griffin will show up, hang out with Billie Eilish, playing drums. It's wild. The vibes. Um, in case you don't know how festival works, you are not necessarily buying these songs. You don't have to buy a song to play it. There are songs that shuffle in and out on a weekly basis, that are available for everybody to play. However, you can buy tracks. They're about 500 points each, which is about $5. Yes, that's expensive. I realize that. Um, so I've not bought any yet because again, they provide songs for you, so you don't really need to buy them. But if you do buy them, you have them forever as long as you're a Fortnite player, I guess.
For the life of the
Um,
company, yes.
yeah,
For life of the service.
life of the license, I suppose. And then anybody who is in the party with you online can access that track when they're playing with you. So it pulls everybody's tracks, which solves a problem with that Rock Band 4 never did, which was, oh, this guy started a lobby, an online lobby. He wants people only to play with him if they have over 500 songs because he wants to play all of his songs. And then you just can't play with him. This solves that problem. It's all pulled into one giant song list, no matter who's there. Very, very key. So there's enough variety in there where you are potentially finding new songs every time you drop into a new matchmaking session, which is cool. Songs that you haven't played before are all over the place, and this includes songs that they've bought or, the featured songs that cycle in. So yeah, there's a lot to dig into. I'm really having a good time with it. It does give you XP for your Fortnite profile at large. So if you're somebody who doesn't love the battle royale stuff, this gives you another option, just like the Rocket Racer stuff does if you're a racing game guy. And so having it there is really cool. And having the guitar as an option means that it opens up the door for people, a lot of people who thought that maybe Festival was a little too demanding to play on a controller. So I think it's great. Can't really argue with free either. So anybody who needs a use for their old guitar, for their old Rock Band 4 guitar, well, this is the best one since Rock Band 4. So yeah, jump in, give it a shot. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of good quality of life, especially since Rock Band 4 got bought up, or Harmonix got bought up by them.
Yeah, I mean it's ended up kind of being a better end into that situation than I thought there was going to be. I really genuinely thought that they were going to be wasted over there at Epic, that they weren't going to take advantage of what Harmonix does best. But what's happened is that they basically just hired Harmonix to make a new Rock Band, which is something I never thought would have ever happened, and yet they kind of did. And it's a Rock Band that, like I said, solves some problems from Rock Band 4's online mode and makes the online the focus as opposed to an accessory to it. So whereas you can't unfortunately have like the kind of like Rock Band party vibe that you used to, there's no singing, there's no drums, which is something that I don't know if they're going to look
Oh, I do
into.
my own singing. I don't need a microphone.
Exactly. So, like, maybe in the future, this is something they could look to expanding upon. But for now, what's on offer, if you like a more Guitar Hero-esque experience, I guess, it's there. And so it's cool that is available in a free way for people to mess around with. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, your birthday just passed, but hey, we can still like come on, fire it up.
Hey, jump on give for a festival a try. You might like
Maybe.
it.
I know they have all the different modes now, including Lego. Ooh,
Yeah.
by the way, speaking of since we're in video games, did you see that Funko Pop is having their own video game coming out?
I saw a headline today. I did not click on it, but yes, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, why not?
Yeah, and it's only Universal titles.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I don't know
It's a
why
weird
it's
move.
they're like just like licensing it themselves, but yeah, you go through like the different like Universal movies, and it's
Hmm.
very Lego-esque in humor, but also like Funko Pop. So
Weird.
it's
Okay.
weird.
Oh,
It comes out later this year.
all right.
Yep.
Well, Anyway,
Anyways, anything else in video games?
I think that will do it. So that means we can move on into the second half of the show where we talk about television. And we always start the television section with the sports corner. And we start with a sports corner with some around the league's headlines, including an update on everybody's favorite basketball player, Caitlin Clark. She has just inked an 8-year, $25 million deal that will include her own shoe line. So congratulations for Caitlin for getting paid.
Yep. This is with Nike. Because there's when she got drafted, there was a lot of people talking about her contract, how she would only get paid about like under $500,000 for like 5 years for her deal. And while yes, that is admittedly super low, that is what the WNBA pays for its players. With the introduction of Caitlin Clark, hopefully we can see that continue to rise.
Hopefully.
By the way, if you really want to like see WNBA salaries, don't look back to the early 2000s. It's like Lisa Leslie, what they were getting paid. Like that'll just haunt your dreams there.
Oh, yikes.
But yeah, everyone kind of assumed this was coming, but good for her. 8 years, $25 million.
Not bad, not bad. But yeah, everybody knows that athletes make their real money in promotion in endorsements. So yeah,
Yes,
I'm glad that she's
that's
getting
why I
that.
have the bet Otani chooses.
Yes, that's why we have the Bet Otani chooses. All right, and the next, the Paris Olympics, of course, they're coming. Everybody knew that they were. Well, we have a date now. July 26th will be the beginning of these Olympics.
Yep, we are under 90 days away, and we will keep this on here as it comes like super fast, 3 months away.
Yeah, we'll see. So look forward to some Olympic coverage. No, not really. We're just going to talk about our reactions to it. We're not covering the Olympics.
No, but we will probably watch a lot of Olympics, and that does mean that qualifiers are happening next month,
Oh
like the
man,
final qualifiers.
I gotta get really good at archery right now.
Speed walking, man. Just gotta get the speed
Speed
walking.
walking. Yeah. Yeah, just wait. I'm
Yep.
gonna be so good. Anyway, let's move into some league headlines. We start with the NFL. The draft happened, as you mentioned last time on our news. So the thing that happened that everybody figured was going to happen happened, which was that the first overall pick for the Chicago Bears was none other than quarterback Caleb Williams. So if you were betting on that happen, you didn't make any money because everybody else bet on it.
Well, no, you made money. You had to
Yeah,
put like a $10,000 bet to win a $1,000.
yeah, that's not worth it. Turns out.
Turns out.
Um, and all the way at the bottom of the pile, safety Jalen Key was Mr. Irrelevant, number 267, going to the Jets. However, Mr. Relevant has been more relevant than ever, so maybe he could have a good career.
At least he didn't go undrafted like some players I know.
It's true. It could have been worse.
Yes.
A record 14 offensive players, including 6 quarterbacks, were taken in the 14 picks.
In the first 14
First
picks,
14 picks.
which means it wasn't until pick number 15 by the Indianapolis Colts was a defensive player selected. Never has this happened before. Usually you get like your edge rushers, your corners, your safeties, your linebackers go within the first 10 picks, but everybody was just very offensive heavy.
Yeah.
Which makes you question, well, not really question, but there's a reason they were down there into the first like high picks because they couldn't score points. Or because maybe their defense sucked and gave up too many points.
I was gonna say, I'm under the impression that defense wins championships, but I guess I'm wrong.
Well, yes, they do win championships, but right now you're not going for a champion. You're going back to the playoffs. You're trying to be above 500.
Yeah,
So
you're just
score
trying to
points.
be competitive, I believe is the term that they use. We
Yes.
just want to be competitive.
Yes, you want to be fantasy relevant, so you draft
Yes.
offensive players.
I that is funny that you say that because I've read that multiple times on baseball Twitter this week. It's like, oh, they're not a great team, but they're fantasy competitive. I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, they are.
Anyways, I saw somebody refer to Joe Adell as that, and I was like, wow, okay, that's kind of a dig at Joe Adell, but all right.
No,
Anyway,
that's a praise at Joe Adell. It's a dig at the team.
I guess so. We'll get there. No, we won't. Kind of. All right, let's move on. Other little bits about the NFL this week. The 2025 draft will be in Green Bay. So
Yep.
cheeseheads, be on the lookout next year.
Yep. They've been doing this thing where they're rotating to different cities with the different teams. And Green Bay is going to be next year. So
Well, there you go.
prepare the cheese sculptures.
Prepare the cheese.
Yep.
You just leave it at, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Just prepare that cheese. And then lastly, the cheesiest man in football himself, who just retired, Jason Kelsey, not Travis Kelsey, but Jason, the big, the shirtless man.
The podcaster now. That's
Yeah,
his
the
only source
podcaster.
of
Yeah.
income.
You may
Yeah.
have seen his podcast on Taylor's hat.
Yes.
He's headed to ESPN to join the pre-show for Monday Night Football. I think this is a good move.
Yes. He's not going to be on actual Monday Night Football. He's going to be part of the countdown pre-show. But meanwhile, while he's getting paid by ESPN, his brother Travis is now the highest paid tight end in the league for at least the next 2 years, as he inked a new deal as of today.
And his girlfriend still makes more money than he does.
But. Yes, but thank you for being on my dynasty team. I really need you.
Turns out.
Yes, for the next 2 years, right. I have a solid tight end.
There you go. Hey. Anyway, let's move on from the NFL to Major League Baseball.
Last bit about the NFL. You won't hear us talking about it for a while. OTAs are 1 month away. Those are the optional trainings. So we won't be talking about the NFL until actual spring, or not spring training, actual, I guess it's the preseason starts. Actual preseason in August. So this is the last big NFL splash before other undrafted free agency news and the OTAs happen. So we're going to go NFL quiet for a bit.
Yes. So instead, we'll talk about other sports like baseball. In the world of baseball this week, hey, Nike finally heard you complaining about the jerseys. They heard about the uniforms.
They see all the complaints, like the vivid outlines of all the complaints.
Yeah. So
how they're outlined in detail.
They haven't lined up exactly what changes they plan on making or what the timetable is to make them. But they say that they are now looking into it, and we'll modify them in some fashion. So
probably by the All-Star break.
I would hope that we don't have to wait that long to get our City Connects in.
Yeah,
we've been waiting forever for them to ship them, but we'll see. Next up, current records. The Braves are currently above 700.
Yeah, they have the best record right now.
Best record in baseball at the moment. Meanwhile, the Marlins, well, the Fish are having a hard one. They're less than 200.
Yeah. It's tough being in Miami.
For a moment, it was neck and neck with them.
Miami?
Yeah, it was neck and neck with them and the White Sox for a hot second there, where it's like they were struggling, both really struggling to get any wins at all.
Yep, race to the bottom.
Meanwhile, the A's have come up out of nowhere and started being really competitive. Their bullpen looks stellar. I don't know what's happening over there. Weather. They're not in Sacramento yet.
Well, so. Yeah, it's the farewell tour then.
Yeah, I guess so. Meanwhile, your home run leader is currently none other than Mike Trout, who leads with 10.
And Mookie Betts is stop there at 10.
We'll get there. Mookie Betts is your hits leader at 46. Ellie De La Cruz is the stolen base leader at a whopping 18. Tyler Glasnow is a strikeout leader, at 53.
No, that's good. He's thrown 53 strikeouts. He's stroking out 53 times.
No, he doesn't bat, thankfully. He may actually have that.
No, Ohtani bats for him instead. As he's on the Dodgers.
Exactly. So there you go. Record are set all over the place here. We'll see how that changes, though. As you mentioned, Mike Trout got news today that he will have to have surgery on his meniscus. So he will be out for a period of time. We already knew he was going to be out at some point through this season for paternity leave. Now he will be out for this as well. So he'll be missing from the Angels lineup for a period of time that has not been disclosed. So we will see. We'll probably find out tonight, as this will be like the first Troutless night.
Yep.
So,
And we will get to once again join the race to the bottom.
oh, we're already on the way.
Yes.
I think last night was maybe a fluke. Anyway, but yeah, it's been fun to watch the good teams though. We've been watching some Brewers games. The Brewers remain a very entertaining team to watch. So yeah, there's somebody. This is the thing: is don't get too die hard about any particular team, because the best thing about liking multiple teams is that if one really sucks, you can turn to a different game. It's freeing.
It's not free.
It's not free, but it's freeing.
It's freeing, yes.
Freeing.
It's not
Yes.
free if you pay
Don't
for
lock
the
yourself
MLB.
into a fandom. Speaking of locking yourself into a fandom, the NBA is also happening. And well, if you were a Pelicans, Suns, or Lakers fan, well, maybe watch a different team because you've been eliminated from the playoffs.
This does mean that with the Lakers elimination, LeBron early eliminated from playoffs,
Yes.
and within 1 hour, the news started spreading. Will LeBron return
Yeah.
back for the Lakers?
It's a fair point.
As he has said at multiple times, he will play at least one more year, and he wants to play it with his son,
Right.
Bronny,
Ronnie.
as he already
Ronnie.
declared for the NBA draft. Lakers
So
might
yeah,
get a good pick, but we will see
we'll
if the
see.
Lakers will use that like number 17th pick on him in order to keep LeBron around for at least 1 year.
Yeah, I don't know. It could very well be the last
Or
time,
do the
but
Cleveland Cavaliers declare just to bring him home for 1 year? Who knows?
maybe.
But yes, even though LeBron is eliminated, people are still talking about LeBron.
Yep, of course. Because why not? He's the main character.
Yes, he is
Yep.
the NBA. No one else
Yes.
matters.
And in the meta narrative of the NBA, some other things are happening, with NBC making a $2.5 billion a year offer to obtain part of the NBA media rights package. The TNT portion of that current agreement, which expires after next season, is currently at an average of 1.2 billion a year. So this is a pretty penny to get those NBA rights. So we could see a future in which NBC locks down a lot of NBA broadcasts. What do you feel about this?
Once again, all the streaming and differentials go scatterbrained.
Yeah.
I like that TNT has the NBA because I can turn on Max and just watch all the streams. I don't have to worry about if I'm getting the games or not. Same thing with the NHL on TNT. I can just turn on the games and just don't worry about if I'm missing it or not, that they just have it on streaming. This does poise NBC to try and make the play for more sports content as we've seen before. Not just with Monday Night Football, but as we saw with the WWE for uh, US rights, not global rights. Those went to Netflix for some godforsaken reason. Um, but NBC has that stranglehold on the Olympics, which we'll see later this year, as we talked about.
Yes.
So this is just them trying to make another, it seems like desperate grab to maintain relevancy.
Yeah. And this is, of course, all before or potentially involved with that all sports network that the four networks are, that a bunch of the networks are trying to collab
Yep.
and do. So this would, I believe, be part of that, because I want to say that NBC was part of those conversations.
Yes, they were,
Yeah. So
because
maybe.
NBC has the Premier League.
Mhm. So we'll see. A lot of moving parts, but we'll know soon enough where this stuff lands. Then, lastly, in league headlines, we move to college football, or should I say, college football of the
You
past.
you forgot one.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about hockey because there's
Yes.
very only brief news to give to you. The Lightning and the Rangers were eliminated.
Yep. They both got swept 4 games. Everyone else at least won one game in the playoffs. So good for you. But both of you are going to be eliminated by the next time we talk.
Well, at least for now. Lucky you.
Yes.
Anyway. But anyway,
As
back
you
in
were
that time
saying,
machine. Yes, back in the time machine, back to the college football of yore. Hey, remember how Reggie Bush got his Heisman taken away? Well, they gave it back.
yes, This does mean that Reggie Bush is a two-time Heisman Trophy recipient.
Yeah.
Yep. Him and Archie Griffith have received the Heisman twice.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, fun fact now. But yeah, with the new NIL alignment, a lot. This technically does not come from the Heisman trust. This was voted upon by previous Heisman winners that Reggie Bush should be reinstated. They made the pitch, and they agreed. And now he has his Heisman Trophy back. This also means that he can now have his Heisman Trophy displayed in USC alongside everyone else, including the aforementioned or the late Orenthal James running back Simpson.
Right, that too.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
So
all right,
the ban has been lifted. Hell has frozen over. Reggie Bush is once again a Heisman Trophy winner, and I expect to see him in those Heisman House commercials.
Just add it into the background somewhere.
He just shows up like, I got lost.
Hey, I just got here, guys.
Well, you won't get lost with the new Nissan navigation system. It writes itself.
There you go. Good job. Why didn't you go into advertising?
I am the advertising.
Let's move on. That's it for sports. We can now safely move on into television headlines. Our big television news right now is about Netflix, specifically a
No. Say as I have it written.
Netflix.
There you go. Netflix.
Hey, you like Scooby-Doo? Well, me neither. But if you do, though, Greg Berlanti is here to bring back the ghost of Scooby-Doo to Netflix, as he's nearing a deal for a live-action TV series based on the animated cartoon.
That's right, live action.
Live action, you heard me right. The project has a script to series commitment at Netflix, meaning that if the script is well received, unlike that Powerpuff Girls thing that didn't happen, the project would trigger a straight to series order for what is considered a live action update of the classic cartoon. Josh Applebaum and Scott Rosenberg, responsible recently for the adaptations of Cowboy Bebop and High Fidelity, are attached to pen the script and executive produce the project. So, are we ready for another live action Scooby-Doo?
Yes, because if we've seen anything from Greg Berlanti's and Berlanti Productions, we've seen a lot of Riverdale.
Yes, I personally have seen a lot of Riverdale.
Yes,
all of it,
and
in fact.
Yes, and you saw how wacky and crazy and hijinks that it became.
Mm-hmm.
So this fits right up that alley.
So yes and no. What I will say is, does the idea of a Berlanti run wacky ass like weird Scooby-Doo live action show seem like a good idea? Yes. However, on Netflix, that's where you lose me, because I feel like they are not going to give Berlanti the runway that he needs. You know how long Riverdale seasons were? They were long. They were proper television seasons of length. Netflix is not going to give him 20 episodes. They're just not.
They how much did they give him for Sabrina?
Oh, that's probably like more like 10, 12. But
yeah,
remember,
that's
that
Berlanti.
thing ended quickly. And I think that will be this thing's fate if it's not like the biggest thing in the world. So that is my worry, is that I think that, well, it's a good idea on paper. I wish it was going to somewhere else.
I mean, it is a straight to series order, so it's not going to go anywhere if they really like it.
Yeah, which is
or you
unfortunate.
purposely write it bad, so you go somewhere else. Like, I don't know, Max, where it can get cut after a season, or sorry,
Yeah.
after a production and before it gets into post production.
Yeah, it's kind of just, it's such a bad time for TV that I don't think a Riverdale can exist again. It'd be nice if this was it, but I just don't think that it's going to work in the same way that it did before. I don't think lightning can strike twice. But
We'll see.
we'll see.
Just off the top of my head, they're not going to call it Scooby-Doo. They're going to call it Mystery Inc., and they're going to kill the dog. Or the dog will not be involved. Or will come around like the last episode.
Yeah, I just don't see a CG dog walking around.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. I just don't think that that's the move. Anyway, all
Anyways.
right, let's move on. Any television thoughts this week? I'll just say real quick, The Circle is back on Netflix.
Yep.
We have been watching that. We'll probably wait and talk about it until it ends
Yeah. You want to talk about
because
Max right now?
no, we don't need to talk about Max right now. We can wait on Max.
Okay. Max
Oh
is not going
God.
anywhere.
Although I do want to get your Lauren read. What do you feel about Lauren? Fans or not fans?
Uh, I think we're fans. I'm not sure.
I'm not a fan. She annoys me. Anyway. Um anyway, we'll talk more about The Circle when it wraps up, which
Yes.
is in a couple weeks, I think. They're doing 4 episode drops a week,
Yep.
which is crazy. So they're really trying to power through it. However, this is a 2 season year for The Circle, so we will get another season in fall. So
Yep.
that's why they're kind of going quickly.
Yeah, because
Other
we missed the
than
one in
that,
January.
yeah,
Other than that, Shogun ended, so now you can
yeah,
enjoy the legacy that is Shogun, and
yeah, I need to catch
maybe
up.
you'll get a second season. Maybe.
I don't
Need to
think
get eyes on it.
so. I think this is they're kind of done telling that story from what I understand.
Eh,
Um,
that's what they say. But
yeah. So that's yeah, that we need to catch up on. We haven't gone back to that in a while. Other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot of television on our radar at the moment.
nope. So why don't we get to cancellations and renewals?
All right, cancellations and renewals. We start with some cancellations on the CW. Run the Burbs has been canceled after 2 seasons. Oh
I
well.
don't know. It was CW.
CBS has canceled NCIS Hawaii after 3 seasons.
Is this the shortest runtime for any NCIS property?
I think you're right. I think 3 seasons, that's probably it. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, especially
The
in Hawaii.
Dora series, based on, of course, Dora the Explorer on Paramount Plus, will get a second season, and The Equalizer will get a 5th season on CBS. You called that.
Hello, hello, past me.
Yes.
Yes, you are correct. It does hit 5 seasons, 5+
Yeah.
seasons.
It'll just keep going as long as people still
I
want to watch
told
it.
you. I called it.
Anyways,
Woo! Let me catch that lottery
let's
ticket now.
yeah, don't the guy one guy already won the Powerball. I don't think you
I
have to wait.
know.
Let's move on to the last segment of the show, which is movies, and we always start the movies with the weekend box office numbers. And grab your favorite your favorite thruple because it's time to watch Challengers, which is your number one movie this week with a $15 million debut.
Yep. Do or do not watch it with your family.
No, you don't watch it with your family.
Just say
You watch it with
Zendaya
your
is in it.
no. I saw a tweet that more or less said this. Like, you saw it, you see it with your partner, and then ask your partner how if their friend is free, and ask if they want to come too. You know, that friend.
Yeah.
Wink. Anyway. Number 2 this week is Unsung Hero, which debuted to $7.7 million. Number 3, Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, 7.2 this week. That's at 181. Number 4, Civil War, with another $7 million. That's at 56. And rounding out your top 5, Abigail, with another $5.2 million this week. That's at 18.7 domestic. That is your box office. And this week, the big release is none other than Ryan Gosling is the Fall Guy. Yes, that's that movie where he's the stunt driver who is in love with his director, Emily Blunt.
Aren't we all in love with director Emily Blunt?
I mean, hey, I get it. I get it. Although I
Yeah.
think most people are more in love with Ryan Gosling than anybody else. And so people will probably see this movie.
Yes. This has been heavily marketed, which means it's probably going to be terrible. That being said, it will make money at the box office because it's got Ryan the Young Goose Gosling in there.
Indeed. Yes. Everybody's favorite stars of Barbie and Oppenheimer in the same film.
Yeah. It's like a crossover from last year.
What is this? A crossover episode? Anyway, let's move on to our big headline in the movie section this week, which is about feet. I mean, about Quentin Tarantino.
Well, it is
He's in
about
the
a feat. Sure.
sure, yeah, I guess. In an effort to stick to his 10 film rule, Tarantino is canceling. I'm having deja vu. Are you sure we haven't covered this? Is
I did
canceling
not
his.
cover it. Did you cover it?
I don't think I would have written a movie story, so I don't think, but I feel like we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll just read the story. Is canceling his previously announced The Movie Critic and pivoting into a new direction. Tarantino said the movie went into pre-production in June 2023, but now it seems as though it might not even happen at all. The project was going to shoot for 1 day in August in order to qualify for a $20.5 million California tax credit before it began production in earnest in early 2025, but that is no longer on the table. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was released in 2019, the last Tarantino film, meaning that when/if his 10th film gets made, it will be the longest stretch between projects for him at over 5 years. So, if not the movie critic, what does Tarantino make?
I see in our notes here, the last time we did talk about this was at the beginning of February, where
Mm.
Tarantino announced that he would cast Brad Pitt in the movie Critic.
Ah,
And here we are
hmm.
2 months later, and
Not
that
happening.
is no longer happening.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think that this is the problem of saying, "Hey, this is the last thing I'm ever going to do," is that the hype becomes too big and you have so much pressure on you to make sure it's the best thing you've made to this point, and then I think that's maybe what's happening here.
I think it's also an effort of the topic that it was going to be because the film critic was
Mm.
supposed to follow a hot, bigger than life person who writes movie reviews for a porno rag magazine. Um, and just have like this exorbitant lifestyle, which would involve the Clint Booth character of Brad Pitt. So set in the 1970s. It's definitely a weird movie, and it's a movie, also a movie about movies, about movie critics, about movies. So
Yeah.
I don't know where he goes with this, but also technically, if you want to count it, he did make 10 films. Kill Bill Volume 2 is technically its own standalone film,
Yeah.
unless you
Does
want to count it
half
as
of
with 1 and 2.
what about half of Grindhouse? Does that count?
Uh, no, not enough feet for him. Or was there enough feet? Which one did he do?
I don't remember. I didn't see it. Anyway, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I mean, it'll be a big hyped release no matter what he makes.
Yeah,
He's made it that way, so we'll see.
but yeah, I mean, last time he made a movie or released a movie was 2019. So the clock is ticking because
Again,
the other side of this coin is you don't have to stick to 10 films. You don't have to do it.
no, you don't
Or
have to do that. You could
or
just
here's
keep
what you do
making.
is that you modify it saying your 10 film rule of your writing directing 10 films. And then you just go off and do some big budget IPs like Star Trek, for instance. You had a R-rated film
He
script
did want to
10.
make a Star Trek film at some point.
So
Yes.
just go do that and just say this one doesn't count because it's for an IP. My 10 film rule is only for when I'm a writer director. I'm not going to write this. I'm just going to direct it.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want when you're Quentin Tarantino. So well, I guess we'll just have to wait and find out
Yeah, as long as it fits within his 10 film guideline that he previously put out there for some strange reason.
for some reason. Anyway, all right. That is it for movie news. Anything to add for movies? Have we seen any movies? Are we going to see Challengers? Is that on our calendar here?
Challengers on the calendar.
Yeah, it's Challengers on the calendar. I am
Um,
interested in it. I do want to see what the hype is about.
you want to see more Zendaya. That's what it
I mean,
is.
I always want to see more Zendaya. That's beside the point. I've also heard it's a very good movie. So,
Yeah, no current, nothing currently on the docket for next film to see.
well, in
I'm
that
looking
case,
ahead, and yeah, nothing really showing up. Who we have If coming next month.
hmm,
Um, the next Planet of the Apes film coming next month, Mad Max Furiosa, and the
Oh yeah.
Garfield movie
Yeah.
as we get into summer season.
Yeah. It's happening, folks. We're almost there. It's almost May. Memorial Day is a month away. Get ready.
Yeah, it's
So yeah,
coming.
summer will be upon us.
Yep.
But in the meantime, before we get to that, we have a bunch more Media Boat podcasts to get to, but that is the end of this one. So thanks for joining us today. If you want to listen to our show or watch our show, you can do so in multiple places. YouTube is where you can get the videos. You go to YouTube, search Media Boat Podcast, and you can find our channel. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications when new videos go up live. You can also find us in audio form on podcast services of your choice by searching Media Boat Podcast. You can find us on social media where we're on X/Twitter at Media Boat Cast. We're on Facebook, search Media Boat Podcast there. We're on twitch.tv/Media Boat when we're playing video games, including Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You can also see us sporadically on the internet on MediaBoatPodcast.com. And you can email us questions, comments, feedback about the show, anything that you want to do. If you're a Swiftie, you can yell at us for not liking Tortured Poets as much as you want us to at MediaBoatPodcast@gmail.com. And that will do it. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back next week at some point, question mark. So stay tuned.
We'll be back with more news, more thoughts, and more of us. Okay, bye.
Bye.